preface for anyone not familiar, Dark Souls 3, and Soul games in general, is a game about difficulty and failure. Story-wise, it's about going from a weak unkindled with no drip, to beating the absolute shit out of bigger and badder evil guys, to determining the fate of the world itself, which all happens in due time. But first, you gotta get stronger. Iodex Gundyr, a cast iron skillet of a man, stands in the way of the protagonist, the Ashen One, aka the Unkindled. Some unknown hero was able to stick Gundyr with a coiled sword and managed to subdue him. But he isn't dead. The man has only been snoozing, waiting for some poor soul to come along and bring him back. Gundyr kneels, impaled by the coiled sword. In his hands, a giant glaive used to swing and stab. After taking out the sword, he is brought back to life, and unleashes a series of glaive attacks. By getting his HP down enough, the second phase initiates, and out springs the Pus of Man, an evil black serpent of the abyss Gundyr has fallen prey to. Unfortunately, his mind is long gone, corrupted to darkness. So it's the Unkindled's job to take out the trash, and send him to a more permanent end. Luckily, there is a weakness, which involves smothering the giant monster in firebombs. To give simplified context, the Abyss is a realm that is expanding to shroud the world in darkness and corruption. It is a force that will give enemies super strength and glowing red eyes. This isn't the only sign of the Abyss spreading. Near the high wall there are several Pus of Man encounters. All of these fights contain a healthy dose of bullshit when fought head-on, so it's a good idea to stack up on firebombs. Additionally, near the high wall of Lothric, there's a left pathway in front of the Lothric Cathedral. If you approach it, you will see a big geared-up Lothric knight with the same red eyes, tainted by the Abyss. Seemingly, it has spread to many corners of the world, especially in Lothric. In ye old days, there were a few that tried to fight against it, namely Artorias, and many fell to its dark embrace, namely Artorias. Except there were a few select who thought they could fight it. Upon leaving the Road of Sacrifices, there is a ladder. At the bottom lies a bonfire, and a great swamp. Also, everything seems to be on fire for some reason. But if the Unkindled manages to crawl across the soggy, burning swamp, dodge man-eating slugs, schizophrenic deer, and giant, tree-wielding schizophrenic deer, they will make their way to a big door, only to find that it's shut. Classic From Software move. The only way to open the door is to light 3 fire basins by extinguishing their appropriate shrines, which are guarded by Grus, the deer creatures. So a little bit of backtracking, fire extinguishing, and freshly stacked bodies later, the door is finally open. There are a few more Grus and a big slope up ahead, except there's a problem. 2 dark wraiths make their way towards a building, which is guarded by several Grus. These wraiths are pissed off, and they mean business. Nothing will stand in their way towards this building, especially a couple of low-level Grus. Once the wraiths and the Grus are taken out, the Unkindled can progress to the steps leading up to the building. There are many weapons staked outside of the building, as if the battle for the last piece of drip has just ended. Except it hasn't. It is at this point that a sound can be heard from behind closed doors, clattering, clanging. Inside the building, 2 figures of the same faction fight each other, one that is tainted by the Abyss, and one that fights the Abyss. Hey dude, I think you've been corrupted. And what's that red glow under your helmet? Fiddlestick. These are the undead Watchers. When one dies, another rises, cursed by the dark sign, and partially succumbed to the Abyss. They are locked in eternal combat with each other. And so begins the first phase of the fight. Attacks are fairly standard except for the occasional smokescreen, which can definitely get you killed. There's a lot of juggling between enemies in the first phase, but it's possible to also bait the enemies to fight each other instead of you. In the second phase, the Watchers link together, fully consumed and unified by the Abyss. The second phase moveset consists of getting roasted, tossed around like a salad, getting charged at head-on, and being attacked by an aerial spin move that feels like getting hammered with the weight of a flaming semi-truck. Nothing that the Unkindled can't handle with a little willpower. Okay, a lot of willpower on this one. Upon defeating the Abyss Watchers, they drop a soul, one of the souls of lords that is key to finishing the game. It can also be used to make the Farron Greatsword or the Wolf Knight's Greatsword. After shedding some tears after that fight, it's time to regroup. By examining the weapons and armor, some lore and hints about the Abyss Watchers can be found. It's clear that the Abyss Watchers formed a covenant. The goal was simple: stop the Abyss from spreading before the world gets coated in a thick layer of darkness. It seems like they still haven't learned the lesson from Artorias, that by heckling with the Abyss heckles back. At least, for the time being, the Watchers have been brought to rest, serving as another soul to provide kindling for the world. If you have any thoughts on this video, or Souls-likes in general, please let me know in the comments. I love reading them. I might do another one of these style videos in the future.